Welcome to Chasing Growth. The purpose is to encourage Christian leaders to get better. When you get better, everybody wins at your church, in your ministry, in your house, in your neighborhood. That your neighborhood will be better because you are better. And remember, if you are a Christian and happen that you have influence, any level of influence, you are a Christian leader. You don't need to have the title. You don't need to have that position in a ministry or church or non-profit. If happen that you have any influence in the baseball team of your child or in other places, in your office, in your regular company, you are a Christian leader and you have to be growing and getting better. My name is Pablo, and today I want to talk to you about something that I believe is critical for leadership, and that is forgiveness. And maybe you never heard people talking about leadership and forgiveness because maybe it's not the easiest thing to talk about it. But let me start with a couple stories. Many years ago, I was having a discussion with somebody, and through the discussion, the person started attacking me personally, saying things like, "You're a bad father, you abuse your wife, you abuse your children," and stuff like that. And this was gone and gone, and I was shocked. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to react. And during the conversation, when this person is saying all the things that have nothing to do with the work that we were doing, I start praying inside of me and what to do, what to say. And I remember thinking that our Lord Jesus went through some similar circumstances where he never responded. And at the moment, I want to punch this guy on the face. I want to just hit him. But this thing came over me. I think it's the Holy Spirit. And I thought, you know what? This is how it is if you're a Christian leader. And I told the guys, listen, if I have done anything to make you believe all the things that you're saying, please forgive me. Please forgive me. So it won't happen again. And he didn't know what to say or what to do. And the conversation pretty much ended there. But I can tell you that I can say it took everything in me to do it. The reality is that it didn't take anything in me to do it. I was not able to do it. I believe that was God in my life doing it and not myself. Because believe me, if this happened without Christ in my life, I will be over this guy punching him. That will be my reaction. I won't try to make you think that I'm a good person or anything like that. My reaction will be immediately defend myself, punish this guy, make things right. And I hope probably you're in the same boat like me. So, but it happened now that Christ lives in me, so Christianity just changed you, and things, the way you face these things have to be different. So as Christian leaders, we have to be so prepared because believe me, one of the things that you're going to experience in your Christian leadership is betrayal, is disappointment, is gossip, is lies. And it will come, believe me, it will come. Sometimes from the people who's close to you. Now, some of you may be Christian leaders or leaders, and you're surrounded by people who just say yes to you, by suck up, we will say. Your entourage, they're just walking with you, and they worship you, and they celebrate everything you do. But when you have that type of situation, they won't tell you the truth. Probably you will never experience, you will think that everything is okay. And sometimes, out of the blue, that's the betrayal, the lie, it still will happen. So, believe me, this will happen. You can say right now, no, all the people who's around me, they love me, they care for me. Listen, you have the same potential that this happened to you if you're the leader that's surrounded by just men people, or the one who's surrounded by people who is different than them. Doesn't matter. This can happen. If you're in Christian leadership, this will happen. So what do we do? How can we face this? And I think there's three things that we can do to be prepared. One, the first one probably is to know how to react. Now, because you know this can happen, you cannot be so naive and think that will never happen to you because you're just such a great leader. You love everybody love you. Listen, we're humans. We're all messed up. We all suck. Our minds are compromised, and that's why we need salvation. So people will do and say things that will hurt you, and sometimes they will do it without even know they're doing it, and sometimes they will do it because they want to hurt you. And you're saying this can happen in Christian leadership? Yes, it will and can happen in Christian leadership. So you have to learn to forgive. But before, you have to know how to respond and not react to the situation, because if you react and you explode and you just let your flesh take over and your first instinct to take over, it will be a mess. But you can be ready and be prepared. So the first thing is to know how to respond to the situation. And I want to challenge you to put yourself in some situations in your imagination, thinking about it, seeing yourself in some conflict, that you will practice how to respond. And really, the only response a lot of time is silence. One time I was faced with a situation, accused of things again, and gossip. And my response was, you know what? My character, that's all I have to respond. And I didn't say anything else. I did not defend myself. I didn't say it wasn't me. I didn't say anything. I said, my character will speak for me. That was my answer. And it did. And I just want you to know, you can prepare for these things, to know what words you will say, what things would you allow or not. And I want to advise you, the best thing to say a lot of time is nothing. It's absolutely nothing. And probably that's the biggest show of your trust in God, that you in silence respond to all this and trust Him. I know it's hard. I know it can be painful. I know you want to kick something. I know all that stuff. And I get that. But silence will be probably the best manifestation that you are a follower of Christ and a Christian leader. Silence. And let God deal with it. I mean, I'm telling you, it will come. If you think if you're in leadership and you work in a company right now that maybe is not Christian, and you think, man, I would love to be in a Christian leadership because probably everybody loves everybody. No, that's not true. Probably it's worse, because in church, in ministry, you get all type of people anyways. And sometimes people use a spiritual discernment or prayer requests for gossip, for attack, for things like that. So let me tell you, it's noisy. So it will come. So the first thing you want to do is practice to be ready, to know how you're going to respond to this situation. Now, if you're a Christian leader and you're not seeking God, you're not spending time with God, you're not reading the Bible, you're not listening from God, you're not obeying God, you won't be ready. So the best way to know how to respond to the situation is not for you to necessarily, I want to encourage you, think about a situation that could happen, but the best way to be ready to respond is not with a practice of what it is, but really practicing your closeness, being close to God, spending time on your knees, reading the Bible, listening to Him, meditating His Word, in the mundane, doing it constantly. If you're not doing that, I'm telling you, when something happens, you won't know how to respond. That's the reality. If you want to know exactly how to respond, so things won't get worse, or the attack won't get any power, is for you to be seeking God on your knees, reading the Bible, meditating His Word, talking to Him, listening to Him, and getting to know Him. And He will defend you. He will take care. You have to settle that in your heart and make sure that's true. So then you can say, okay, if this happened, what will be my reaction? Oh, remember to be silent. If I'm accused of that, well, remember to be silent. And you just repeat yourself the things. So when the things happen, you will be ready, because you know He will take care. He will defend you. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, let's say the attack happened, the disappointment, the gossip, the lies, the destruction of character, whatever. Some things are said about you. The only way to forgive when something wrong has been done is understanding that somebody have to pay. When something is done wrong, when a crime is committed, somebody have to pay. Somebody have to pay. And that's why you have that desire to the person to get them to pay back, for them to suffer. That desire that comes inside of you is a total natural desire, because when something is done wrong, somebody have to pay. So what is the answer to that? Well, Jesus already paid. And Jesus already paid for that person who did that wrong thing to you. It's hard to swallow, but it is what it is. And the moment that you sit, not only you know that what they did is wrong, but you sit in the bench to be the judge and put a sentence on what they deserve because what they did, in that moment you becoming part of the sin. So to really forgive, you need to understand that somebody have to pay for what that person did. Somebody have to pay what the wrong that I was done, that gossip, that betrayal, that talking about me or whatever. Somebody have to pay. And you remind your soul that Jesus already paid for him. If you don't believe that, well, think about how much did really Jesus pay it all for you? Ask yourself that question. Think about it. Think about it. It's enough what Jesus paid for you, so it should be enough for the wrong that have been done to you. Now, people say forgive or not forget. Yeah, technically you don't forget. You may learn through the experience and stuff. But what is the key? The next step is the key thing. The Bible talk about putting the other cheek. That's what Jesus tells us. To when somebody offend you, put the other cheek in. And what he means in this whole situation, especially you're in leadership, and people say, hey, forgive and not forget. Yeah, you maybe you still remember what that person did, but you're gonna turn the other cheek. And what that means is that you're gonna open the window to build that relationship again, regardless of what they did. Regardless of what they did, you're gonna open yourself. Not to get beaten. Sometimes we think about turning the other cheek, thinking that, well, somebody hit you one side, you put the other cheek and hit you again. That's not what the Bible is talking about. The Bible is talking about the relationship is broken because that person did something, humiliate you, say something, gossip, whatever, and broke the relationship with you, especially among Christians. And then what the teaching is, hey, put the other cheek. In those days, they used to kiss, and if you come from South America like I do, men still kiss. That's it's a thing. But you open to the relationship, and even what that person did, you're willing to be open to build that relationship with that person. That's what it means. And I know it's hard. All the things are really hard. And the biggest example I have of this is my mom. My mom. My dad and my mom went through difficult things, and my dad did horrible things. And I saw how my mom was willing to forgive, not forget, knowing what happened. There's no way for what she went through. There's no way she just, I don't remember. There's no way that's happened to nobody. But how you can still know the things and be willing to not consider them and put in the other cheek to build a relationship with the person who actually broke your heart, the person who do that betrayal thing, that person who completely destroyed you, but you still are willing. Because after that Jesus died and paid the price for that person too, you're willing to do it. So now, let me recap with all this. So if you're in Christian leadership, let me tell you, it's not all bed of roses, it's not all happiness. Let's pray together, let's worship together. Probably the worst thing you see in leadership when it's about betrayals and gossip happen in Christian ministries and churches. Probably the worst place, and probably we're the worst to address it too. And we allow it sometimes because we tend to put a spiritual aspect to it. A prayer request, there's more gossip. A preaching, is more like a pastor attacking somebody else. We do those things all the time, but it probably happen more often than you know. So you are in Christian leader. Let me tell you, this will happen. So what do? Be ready to respond. How you get ready to respond? Seek God on your knees. Read the Bible. Learn from Him. Listen to Him. Obey Him. And let Him defend you. Let Him defend you. Dr. Stanley said, fight your battles on your knees. So that's where you do it, in silent, in private. So when the attack comes, you respond like Jesus, in silent. You don't react. You don't attack. You don't fight back because you know the truth and you know that God have your back, and you just trust that process, and your testimony will defend you as well. And then when you feel that desire, that was wrong, somebody have to pay. Remember, Jesus paid for that person too. As hard as it sounds, as hard as you want to pay back, Jesus died for that person, so He paid for that person too. So don't become the judge and don't become the one who's giving the sentence, because that's already taken care. He died for that person. He paid for that offense that you're receiving today. And finally, don't forget, but forgive, and be willing to turn the cheek and build a relationship with that person, regardless of what they did. So you don't gonna consider what they did to rebuild that relationship. And this is the problem. If you consider those things to build a relationship again, maybe a relationship in church or in other places, this is the big problem. If you have the power now in leadership, and you have the power to consider the things, and you decide to consider the things to do something against that person or not doing something for that person, that means that you haven't learned to really forgive. That is real forgiveness. And if you are a Christian leader, you have to know this. If you don't, you are naive. Ask any Christian leader that have been around for a little bit, and they will tell you betrayals, gossip, lies, attack, all kind of things are more real and more real than ever in Christian leadership. And if you don't know how to do these things and you're not prepared, you will suffer the consequences. So I want to encourage you, if you haven't forgive somebody because you don't know, well, I thought I have to forget. If somebody broke your heart, you won't forget. But are you willing to put the other cheek and rebuild the relationship with that person and not consider all those things? Because Jesus already paid the penalty for that person for the wrong they did to you. So this is the encouragement this week. I hope this bless you. Keep tuning in and watching Chasing Growth. Have a great week. God bless you. Bye.